Well, illegal fentanyl is flooding the streets across America, but don't count on Democrats to do anything about it. They just rejected several amendments in Congress that would strengthen penalties for people who are distributing the deadly drug. This comes as CBP announces they seized over 1,000 pounds of fentanyl at the southern border last month alone, and seizures have risen 78% compared to last year. So, Geraldo, 93,000 people in America last year overdosed on fentanyl. The crisis got worse as a result of people not being able to get legal fentanyl through their doctors because of all the COVID shutdowns. So they went to the streets, and it was laced with other drugs, which caused overdoses. And now Democrats don't seem to want to implement any harsher penalties for cartels involved in bringing it into the country.
Well, I think that I remember the crack experience where crack, as opposed to powder cocaine, was treated much more severely. And it's one of the reasons the prisons filled up. I think that it's a bad strategy. Let me hasten to add that I am in favor of the border wall being completed. But it won't stop the professional smugglers. They'll get that stuff in. I think you have to have an alternate strategy. And what I would do, were I in charge, is I would absolutely legalize marijuana everywhere in every corner of this country, every kind of marijuana you want, the chewies, the smokies, any way you want to get stoned. Because I believe that if people have access, because people are going to get stoned one way or the other, if they have access to legal pot, I think that the demand for drugs like fentanyl, which killed Prince, it's a killer drug. It's so potent, you don't know. It wiped out, New England. The hit there, it struck so badly. I think that you've got to understand that people are going to get high one way or the other.
You know, Jesse, that's one argument that has been made. People have argued that if you legalize marijuana, it will make drug use less prevalent, but actually, and it would eliminate a lot of what the cartels do in Mexico. But actually, what they've seen is that the cartels are kind of moving their drugs, and they're building industrial-sized meth factories now to replace their marijuana output as a result of that legalization.
If I couldn't find pot, I don't think I'd go looking for fentanyl, Geraldo. I'm not sure that that's the jump, but that's another conversation. There's two reasons why the Democrats are against these sentences for fentanyl. One, lawyers. Lawyers do not like mandatory sentences for anything because they can't plea bargain for their clients. And the trial lawyer lobby owns the Democrat Party. They donated $50 million last cycle to Joe, many, many millions more to the House and the Senate Democrats. And this is such a profitable drug because it's so small, it's almost undetectable. And the profit margins are huge. And a lot of these lawyers represent traffickers, and there's just a lot of money to be made. The mobs control it, the cartels control it. So that's why you're never going to see Democrats vote for tough sentencing laws. And look who did. Jerry Nadler, New York City. Eric Swalwell, San Francisco, Cori Bush, St. Louis, Sheila Jackson Lee, Houston. Those just happen to be the major distribution hubs for fentanyl, and they're against those tough sentences. Have I mentioned how much I dislike lawyers, Katie? Because this is a big reason why.
Not the
other
first
reason,
time.
I like you, Geraldo, and we'll make an exception. But the other reason is the Democratic Party now doesn't want to reduce crime. They want to reduce prison populations. They believe the fact that people are incarcerated, a lot of African Americans there, is because we have a white supremacist system, and they are the victims of white supremacy. So even if they have to, reduce sentences, if that comes with an uptick in crime, they don't care.
So, Greg, you have the opposite take. You believe in legalization, that implementing more sentencing for drug crimes only exacerbates the problem.
Yeah, I think first of all, in terms of crack, to what Geraldo was talking about, the people who wanted those harsh penalties were the black communities. Because that's what was really killing them. But no one actually goes to buy fentanyl. Fentanyl isn't a drug that people go look for. Fentanyl is the cheapest ingredient that you put in other drugs because it has such a high potency, given the fact that it's tiny. So when people buy, this is what kills me when the media presents an autopsy, they'll say overdose, and they'll mention the drugs, but they don't mention what exactly. They'll go, oh, he had Xanax in his system. This has been done with a lot of ODs. And you go, nobody accidentally overdoses on Xanax.
Laced.
Yeah. It's laced with this stuff. This stuff just makes all the drugs more powerful, and it's really sloppy. So one way to crack down on the street traffic of fentanyl is to stop cracking down on the prescription opioid users, because you're driving those people to the street, and you're punishing lawful pain in cancer patients. And a lot of these, they're not overdoses. These are people that just stop breathing because they take the fentanyl, makes it easier for you get so relaxed you just stop breathing. That's not an overdose. It's a reaction to fentanyl. So we should view the fentanyl trade as a terrorist act that kills thousands of Americans, courtesy of China's massive drug trade. China knows who makes it, just like they knew about the Wuhan lab. So if they don't kill the dealer, which they could very easily kill the dealer, we should think about that. We should think about how do we eliminate the dealers. We must know how to do that, and it would be kind of nice. But the bottom line, any kind of war on drugs ain't going to make this better. It never has. You got to go after the source, and then you got to legalize it and get the government and the police off people's backs.
And Dana, the source is not just Mexican cartels, but their partnership with the Chinese.
Well, I think that's the only point that I wanted to make here into all of that, which is there is an opportunity that's coming up. What does China really care about? One thing is money, power, and reputation. The Olympics is coming up next February in China. There's already some calls from people saying because of their human rights abuses, it should be boycotted. That's maybe a topic for another day. However, there is a meeting coming up on the end of October. It's the G20. This is where the big economies get together. And the Biden administration has been trying to do something that the Trump administration was doing as well, which is to get our allies to all be singing from the same song sheet. So when you go to that meeting with China, I think it's in Europe somewhere, when they're at the table demanding something to be done on this issue of China-laced fentanyl pills that are coming into the United States, that is a war-type issue. And if China, if you want to get them to actually do something that would help other people, force them to close down that place. They've been doing it. They're closing down other things. They don't care about anybody losing money. They just changed up their whole education system, their whole tech sector. They're bringing everything back in. So I would force them to try to do something there.
Yep.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.